The year is 1765. The rugged hills of Gévaudan, France. A teenage girl walks a familiar path home from tending livestock. The sun is fading behind the trees, casting long shadows across the fields. She's done this dozens of times before. But today, something feels different. The animals are uneasy. The woods are silent. And she feels like she's being watched. Moments later, her screams echo through the valley. When villagers find her body, it's torn apart, throat ripped out with surgical precision. The attack is brutal, swift, and unlike anything they've seen before. And this was just the beginning. Welcome back to Legends May Live, where we explore the strange, the mysterious, and the downright eerie. I'm Drew, and today's story takes us deep into the heart of the 18th century France, where a creature stalks the land with a hunger for blood and a taste for fear. This is the chilling tale of the Beast of Gévaudan. Nestled in the remote south-central region of France, Gévaudan was a rugged and rural province in the 1700s. From the outside, it looks like a work of art, surrounded by dense forests, rolling hills, and isolated farm villages separated by miles of wilderness. Though it was beautiful, life there was hard. Winters were harsh, there were occasional bandits, and then there was the ever-present struggle just to grow enough food to survive. So needless to say, if you grew up in Gévaudan, you were tough. You were a survivor. But none of the struggles the villagers faced ever prepared them for what was about to happen. In the summer of 1764, a woman was tending her cattle near the forest's edge. She was being sure to stay vigilant for any predators or bandits. But before long, she thought she caught a glimpse of something moving through the tree line. She scanned the edge of the woods for a moment, and watching and listening, but there was nothing out of the ordinary at first. But then she hears the heavy crunch of twigs, along with the rustling of some bushes. Before she could wrap her head around what was happening, this massive creature stepped out into the clearing. It wasn't anything she recognized. It was similar to a wolf, but much larger, with darker fur. Its chest was wider than any wolf she'd ever seen, dead or alive, and it had a long whip-like tail. The creature locked eyes with her. She was frozen in place, heart pounding in her chest. This thing lowered its body as if it was about to pounce, but before it could attack, her bulls charged at it and drove it off. She was shaken but alive. She ran as fast as she could back to town, and she told everyone what she had just seen, but reports were dismissed as hysteria. That would change just weeks later. One of the villagers was heading back home for the day when just off the path up ahead, he could see a figure lying in the grass. As he got closer, he could tell that it was a person and that something was terribly wrong. He rushed over, but it was already far too late. There lay 14-year-old Jeannie Bolette, and she was dead. Her body was mutilated, and her throat was torn out. After rushing back to tell the town about the girl, several villagers claimed that earlier that day and days prior, they had seen a beast unlike any normal predator. And as the days went on, their statements proved to be true. It attacked in broad daylight. It ignored livestock to focus solely on humans, and it killed with horrifying efficiency. Shortly after Jeanne's body was found, another child was killed. Then a woman. Then 2 men. By autumn, people across Gévaudan were terrified to go outside. Entire villages barricaded themselves indoors. Rumors began to spread. This wasn't just some animal. This was a monster. This was something evil. Local hunters took up arms, and several times they claimed to have found the beast, but it always vanished into the wilderness before anyone could get a clean shot at it. They set traps, but it proved to be far too cautious and too intelligent for them. It was seemingly unstoppable. By winter, the death toll had climbed over a dozen. Panic turned into hysteria. The church blamed sin and divine punishment. Villagers blamed a demon. And the whispers began. Was this a monster from legend? Or something far more real? As the beast's rampage continued into 1765, Gévaudan descended into chaos. Farmers refused to till their fields. Shepherds abandoned their flocks. Entire communities were paralyzed by fear. And the attacks, they weren't just frequent, they were horrifying. Survivors described a creature that seemed to hunt for sport. It didn't just kill, it dismembered. Skeptics were convinced this was just the work of wolves, but witnesses claimed it stood taller than a wolf, with a reddish-brown coat, black streaks down its spine, and teeth far too large for its snout. It was agile, cunning, and eerily unafraid of humans. One boy claimed that the beast leapt clear over a 6-foot stone wall. Another swore it walked on its hind legs. Some villagers whispered that it wore armor, like it had been sent by the devil himself. Before long, the death toll had reached over 60. Most of the victims were women and children, attacked while herding animals, walking paths, or simply going to church. The carnage became so widespread that news of the beast reached the French royal court. King Louis was furious, not just about the deaths, but at the embarrassment. France's peasants were being slaughtered by an unknown creature, and no one could stop it. So in the spring of 1765, the king sent in professionals. First came Jean-Baptiste de Haumale, a local army captain, with dozens of dragoons under his command. Then came government-funded wolf hunters, trackers, and even professional marksmen. But the beast continued to outwit them. No matter how many traps were laid or how many shots were fired, it always seemed one step ahead. Soldiers reported seeing it get shot, only to leap up and vanish into the trees. Theories swirled. Was it multiple creatures? A supernatural entity? Or maybe a man in disguise? In June, a massive wolf was killed by Duhamel's men, to which he proudly paraded it through the region, insisting that this was the beast, just a large wolf. And for a moment, it seemed like the nightmare was over. But within days, the killings continued. And this time, they were more brutal than ever. By late 1765, Gévaudan was a province on the edge. Soldiers patrolled the forests. Armed villagers escorted one another in groups, and church bells rang out warnings instead of hymns. Everyone was on alert, because everyone knew the beast was still out there. Even with the king's men in play, more bodies were turning up, and the attacks grew more violent. One child was reportedly decapitated. A woman was found with her face half gone, as if clawed by something enormous. Witnesses described a creature that showed no fear of firearms, no hesitation to enter towns, and no interest in livestock. It was still a killer with as single-minded determination as ever, hunting humans. In June of 1767, a local farmer named Jean Chastel stepped forward and claimed that he had killed a beast unlike anything anyone had ever seen. This was during a hunt on Montmarché. According to legend, he fired a blessed silver bullet and dropped the beast with a single shot and ended the terror once and for all. And this time, there were no more killings. But here's the thing. Chastel's story changed depending on who you asked. Some say the beast's body was quietly buried. Others claimed it had human-like features. Still others whispered it wasn't a beast at all, but a trained killer, a part of a cult, or even a man who wore the skin of a monster to murder undetected. Over 100 people died during this reign of terror. Hundreds more were maimed through this creature. And nearly 3 centuries later, no one knows exactly what the Beast of Gévaudan really was. So what was this horrible beast? The simple answer? A wolf. Maybe an abnormally large one. Gévaudan was wild, remote, and teeming with predators. Some experts argue that it was a particularly aggressive lone wolf, or even a hybrid that just developed a taste for humans. But others aren't so sure. Some believe the beast was never just one animal. The killings spanned nearly 3 years. The behavior, hunting humans, ignoring livestock, moving with uncanny intelligence. It didn't match any known predator. Could it have been multiple beasts? A den? A mutation? And then there are the darker theories. One idea suggests a serial killer, using the legend of a beast to mask human crimes. That the creature was never real, but the work of someone who wanted the perfect cover. A monster no one could catch. Others claimed the church or even the crown orchestrated part of the panic to distract the public from rising tensions and unrest. Still others whisper of the supernatural, a demon sent to punish the wicked, perhaps a shapeshifter, a lycanthrope, a werewolf. We may never know the truth without a preserved body. Today, Gévaudan is quiet. It's peaceful, and the forests are still, the hills green, the trails are empty. But for some, when the fog rolls in and the wind howls just right, there's a feeling you can't shake that something might still be watching. Thank you for joining me on Legends May Live. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with anyone who loves a strange and eerie tale. I'm Drew, and until next time, stay cautious and keep a lookout, because legends may live.